NEP as far as possible. Now, when you study or take a look at this NEP and how it relates to education, there are two major things which the NEP has proposed. One is that it proposes the use and integration of technology through digital initiatives. And secondly, it recommends the adoption of blended learning as an instructional methodology. Now, when we say the integration of technology through digital initiatives, it means that in the processes involved in education, that is teaching, learning, evaluation, in all these processes, we try to use digital initiatives. Secondly, it talks about blended learning. So, blended learning in the form of learning which includes both online and offline modes of learning, where part of the instruction may be in the online mode and part of the instruction may be in a face-to-face mode held in a classroom. So in this kind of scenario, when we are trying to integrate technology into our education process, and also when there is a recommendation to have a blended mode of learning where we will not meet students on a face-to-face basis daily, but we will teach them sometimes in a face-to-face scenario and in other times in a digital mode, it becomes necessary for us to try and implement digital technology into our day-to-day teaching and learning. Now, what is the relevance of digital technologies in English language teaching? The first point I've already explained, the integration of technology with teaching, learning, and evaluation. So this means that our methods of teaching, the students' way of learning, and the methods that we use for evaluating the learning of our students, all these three must in some way include technology. So this kind of an integration of technology with the education process will make what is known as digital education. Now, how is it relevant to the teaching of English? When we integrate technology into teaching, learning, and evaluation, there are some basic purposes for which we are trying to include these. First of these is learner autonomy. What do we mean by autonomy? Autonomy means independence, or autonomy means making someone, giving someone the flexibility or uh, independence to learn at their own pace, to learn in their own way, the purpose of which is to reach a kind of level where the students are able to realize their complete potential. So we are trying to give autonomy to the students. You see that when we use digital tools, we are able to overcome the barriers of time and space, right? Many of these tools are such where multiple people from multiple locations can connect. Look at this webinar today, this FDP session today. We are all linked here together on the Zoom platform. We are at different physical locations, and yet we are all together discussing a common topic here. So this is an example of how the digital technology is able to overcome any kind of barrier of time or space. Then also learner accountability. Now, what this means here is that the student is no longer just a receiver of information. The teacher's role has changed. We are no longer teachers who just pass on knowledge and information to our students. The students have to be involved completely in the process of learning and teaching. So when if you are looking at NAC accreditations, or if you're looking in general at the popular terms these days, we come across terms like student-centric teaching. So student-centric teaching is where the student is the center of all activities. Anything that we do, any kind of task that is given, any kind of process that is used, any kind of tool that is used, it should be done keeping the learner in mind. The learner is at the center of the entire process of education. So when we say autonomy, we are giving this learner freedom. We are teaching and testing through multiple modes. We don't restrict ourselves to only one mode of teaching or only one mode of assessment. By doing this, we are able to assess these students in different ways, and we are able to come to a comprehensive evaluation of the ability of the student. When we say accountability, it means that we are also holding the learner responsible for his or her progress. So it is not just the teacher now who is responsible for the progress of the student. See, in a general, classroom, the teacher will give his or her best to every student sitting in the class. But how each learner accepts that and how each learner puts that to use depends on the learner himself or herself. So now the learner is as much responsible for his or her learning. If they participate, if they absorb, if they learn, if they put it to use, they are the ones who will benefit. If they do not try to put in their own initiative, then they are the ones who are also going to lose in the same way. So the learners are equally responsible for their participation in the process of learning. Now, digital technology also helps us in developing what are known as the 21st century skills. Now, these 21st century skills are many. I have just restricted myself to 4 here. So, we can enhance the skills in communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. So, with these 4 C's, these 4 skills that I have taken up here, the students will not just be able to, not just be proficient in the English language, but they will also be able to use their learning for higher order thinking and for higher purposes. Because they will at the same time become proficient in skills in communication. They will also learn to work in a team, that is, collaborate with others. They will, through using various kinds of means of learning and evaluation, be able to develop their creativity. And finally, they will also, through the tasks that the teachers pose to them, they will also be able to develop a sense of critical thinking where they don't just accept whatever is given to them, but they are able to understand it, they're able to analyze it, and they're also able to form their own opinions about what they have read or heard. So that is how that critical thinking is developed. Now, there are multiple digital tools which are available today. If you just search on the internet, it will give you a long list of tools which are available for reading, writing, speaking, and all these skills that any English language teacher tries to develop in the students. But can we adopt all those digital tools in our classroom? The answer is clearly no. We cannot adopt and use each of those digital tools. Although most of us would probably want to, be proficient in as many digital tools as possible, when it comes to implementing these tools in the classroom, there are 4 basic criteria which we should keep in mind while zeroing in on the tool to be used. The first is the purpose. What is your purpose of using a digital tool? Is that digital tool going to enhance the skills of the students? Are you using it for the purpose of teaching? Are you using it for the purpose of evaluation? So, what is your main purpose in using the digital tool? That is something you need to be clear about at the beginning. Second thing to consider is the need of the students. What do the students really need? Are they in need of a formative assessment? Are they in need of a summative assessment? Are they still in need of polishing their skill? Are they in need of practicing the skill that we are trying to impart to them? So, what is the need of your learners? What is the level of your learners? How much of a skill are they ready to learn. So the need of the student needs to be assessed before we go in for adopting a digital tool. The third is the competence of the teacher. Now, uh, all teachers may not be competent enough to use all kinds of technology. Now, the COVID pandemic has made all of us very techno savvy. That I think was a very difficult and challenging time for all teachers when we had to suddenly shift to the digital online mode of teaching. And we have learned a lot of things during that time as well. But then everyone is not keen on using technology. Everyone is not comfortable using technology, and everyone is not comfortable using all kinds of technology. So, what is the competence level of you as a teacher? What kind of tool can you understand and equally explain well to your students? And finally, the practicality issue. How practical is that tool going to be in your situation, in your institution, in your classroom, for your learners? So that is something again that each one of us needs to assess for ourselves. See, there might be certain issues in terms of time. There might be digital tools which take up a lot of time for implementation. There might be tools for which you might require institutional permission. There might be tools which are not helping you reduce your load or your time. So the tool that you use should be such that it helps you reduce your workload, it helps you reduce your time and effort in some way. If it is not achieving that, then it might not be a tool that you would need to use or you want to use possibly. In that case, a lot of teachers will just go back to the chalk and board. Right. So it should be a tool that is able to, in some way, reduce the time and the effort that we put in for teaching or evaluation. So these are the four basic criteria that we need to assess before we go on to decide which tool we are going to implement in our classroom. Now, let me look at the four skills, the LSRW skills. I'll take them up one by one. So I begin here with listening skills. Now, when we talk about these skills, listening is a receptive skill. So we have two kinds of skills, receptive skills and we have productive skills. Listening is a skill where we only receive something. There is no output on our side. There is no productivity from us. As a listener, we only absorb and only receive whatever is being passed on to us. Now, when we try to train our students for listening skills, we can make use of audio passages. Now, audio passages, when you select these passages, again, see that they are suitable for the level of your learners. Now, whether it is students studying in 7th or 8th class, or whether it is UG level students, or whether they are PG level students, what are they majoring in? What level of English do they have? So, audio passages should be selected keeping in mind the level of the learners. And also, again, you can begin from easy and go on to medium and higher levels of difficulty. Now, when we talk about higher levels of difficulty, it is not just the content or the kind of language that is used. It may also be the accent which is there in the passage. And as teachers of English, it will be good for us to familiarize our students with various different accents so they are able to understand when they listen to different accents and pronunciations. So, we can make use of these audio passages. Now, how to use these passages in the classroom? If it is a school, in that case, the speakers may be used probably. You can use speakers in your classroom. This can be done in a college also. Speakers can be used for playing the passages in the classroom. If it is something that needs to be given as an assignment, as a homework, maybe, then we can use WhatsApp chat. A passage may be posted on the WhatsApp chat. We can even use the Google Classroom for doing this. And the Google form also has the this function where we can add an audio passage in the form itself. Okay, so either of these four methods can be used. The passage may be played in the classroom using speakers. The passage may be posted in a WhatsApp chat. The passage may be posted in the Google Classroom, or the passage may be part of a Google form. Next, we have to frame some kind of exercises for comprehension. So our purpose here is to understand whether the learners are able to comprehend what they hear. For the purpose of that, we need to frame exercises. These exercises can be in the form of close. Now, that is a kind of gap filling. The passages given to the students with some gaps in it. The students listen to the audio, and while the audio is being played, they also try to fill in the gaps in the passage which is given to them. So that kind of an exercise works well because they are constantly attentive to what they are hearing. There could also be questions in the form of multiple choice questions, and you could also have a quiz based on the passage that the students have heard. Now, how do you test it? Now, the questions can be given on a Google form itself. So, if you are using a Google form, you can have the audio recording given in the Google form along with the questions in the same form. So each student will listen to the passage, and after listening to the passage, they will also answer the questions which are given in the form itself. If you are sharing the audio through Google Classroom or WhatsApp chat, then they have the flexibility of listening to the passage multiple times, and then they can do the exercise which is based on the uh, passage. Now, it can also be done it can also be given as printed question paper, right? So if in a school or a college you have used speakers to play the audio passage, then you can give printed sheets of paper to the students, and while they are listening to the audio, they can complete the exercises which are close MCQs or the quiz. One thing we need to remember while we are using these audio passages or when we are teaching the students to listen well is to train them into listening for the overall theme of the passage and also for listening for specific information. So, there could be questions which ask the students about what is the overall theme of the passage that they have heard, or what is the passage all about, what does it discuss. So that you can frame the questions in different ways. But the question will try to assess whether the student has understood the overall topic or the theme of the passage or not. There could also be questions There could also be questions which ask the students to hear for specific information. These could be questions related to names that are mentioned in the passage. It could be names, it could be dates, it could be qualities, characteristics, specific features of a device or something. So we need to train students in both the things, listening for an overall theme as well as listening for specific information. Now, when we tell them these things and when we communicate to them what it is that they need to listen for, you will notice that the students automatically become more conscious of hearing what is being communicated. The students will pay more attention, they will be attentive, and the distraction level will be less. If we do not tell them what the purpose of that listening exercise is, they are bound to be distracted because they don't know what really to focus on when they are listening to the passage. So here, these suggestions that I have given here, speakers, WhatsApp chat, Google Classroom, Google Form, all these are examples of digital technology because all of them are using the computer in some way. And although these are very common, very day-to-day things, they are a digital technology and we can use them effectively in our classrooms. You could also give questions like, where the students are expected to listen to something and then to write. Now, this can be done in the form of a dictation. So they listen to, parts of the passage. You read out or you play an audio at a, a slower pace. So they hear what they are listening to and they are writing it down at the same time. Now, again, that requires complete attention, and the students will focus on what they are hearing. It could also be a task where the students are made to listen to an audio passage and then they are asked to give a summary. This summary could be an oral summary. If you give it in the form of an oral summary, you are also, along with listening skills, you are also, facilitating their speaking skills because they will listen, comprehend, and then speak to give that oral summary. The summary can also be a written summary. So when they give a written summary, it is listening and writing. So through these, we are taking care of two skills, that is listening and speaking, or listening and writing. The same can be done by asking students to express their opinion. So when students express their opinion, again, they listen to something critically. They listen to something attentively, they analyze it, they are critical about it, and then they express their opinion on it, either in the oral form or in the written form. Now, again, these days we hear the term Bloom's taxonomy very frequently. So, Bloom's taxonomy talks about 6 cognitive levels. Now, when the students are asked to give a summary or to express an opinion, we are encouraging and facilitating students to use their higher order skills because they are analyzing, they are thinking critically, and it is also creative in the sense that they are using language to express their own views and their ideas. So while dictation is not really a very higher order, in the Bloom's taxonomy, but summarizing and expressing opinions are higher level cognitive skills. Now, for the purpose of listening skills, we can also use podcasts. Multiple podcasts are available today, and in these, these are theme based. So you can search for podcasts based on education. That can also be for learning, as a learning technique for the teachers. You can hear these podcasts on education, and you can enhance your own knowledge about various methods of teaching, and some of these can also be used in your classroom. Again, TED Talks are again a very useful tool. These can be played for the students and they will definitely listen to different kinds of speaking, different styles of speaking, different ways in which language is used, and that will enhance their ability to comprehend what they hear. Just a quick question. Are you all with me? Am I clear so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So that is encouraging for me. Um, any questions you have, you can please make a note of them, and at the end of the session, we can take up the questions. Okay. Right, the next skill that we go on to is the speaking skill. Now, speaking skill is a productive skill. As I said, listening is receptive, speaking is productive, because here the learners need to produce something. They need to use language to produce something which is coherent, organized, understandable. So, speaking is a productive skill. Now, for enhancing speaking skills, we can again make use of audio visual recording. This can be given as a task to the students. This can be given as an individual assignment, or it can even be given as a group assignment. You can ask students to record themselves using a camera feature. So you can also identify the students who have participated in that activity. So here the speaking skills can be tested or can be practiced at an individual level. It can also be done at a group level. And the kind of task can be a 1 minute talk where a student is given a topic or a student is asked to select a topic and speak on that topic for 1 minute. It could also be in the form of a group discussion. And students can use all these technologies. They can use a smartphone, they can use Google Meet, they can use Microsoft Teams, they can use a Zoom meeting. So students in a group can join a meeting using any of these platforms. And while they are discussing something, they can record themselves, right? And this recording can be submitted to the teacher in the Google Classroom. So we have used multiple digital technologies here. The students have recorded themselves using digital technology. They have also made the submission using digital technology, that is a Google Classroom. And the teacher can assess these, can give feedback on these. And here again, the students are learning both individual speech and also interacting with a group. Now, those of you who are associated with Osmania University, the first year textbook of Osmania University has sections on conversation, where conversation skills are being practiced. Those kind of dialogues maybe can be assigned to the students, or they may be given topics on which they need to have a dialogue with each other, or you can give them topics where they debate or they discuss things. So, using our own textbook, we can come up with multiple tasks that can be given to the students which require them to speak. There are also sections in the textbook where on soft skills, where situational analysis is given. Some of these can also be given for the purpose of group discussion. So here, while the students are interacting with one another, they are practicing their speaking skills, they are learning to express their own views and opinions. At the same time, they are learning group etiquette, how to interrupt, how to agree, how to disagree, which are again very important parts of speaking. So this is one thing that I can suggest here. Another one is to make reels. Now, Instagram is very popular these days, and students are very fond of making short reels. Now, again, the students can be asked to make reels, and we can give them some interesting topics here. Suppose you have an event in the college. Maybe you had your freshers party, or you had some kind of fest in college. Some special day was celebrated in college. Students can be asked to report that event, what they saw, what happened, who came. So, all these, we are encouraging the students to think, we are encouraging them to report, where they are looking into questions like who, what, when, where, etc. And using this information, they are building up sentences and they are reporting in a way that will be understandable by those who listen to them. So they can be asked to make short reels where they report an event. It can also be to make a reel on what they did over the weekend. It could also be a reel that they are asked to make on a travel that they went on. So you can think of such kind of creative topics and things that the students are normally interested in, something that will engage them and something that will make them excited to make that reel. So this would be another way in which we can encourage students to speak, encourage them to speak, with sufficient motivation. Because this is something that they feel, they don't think that when they are making a reel, they are doing an English exercise. Right. So they feel that this is something very happening, this is something that is relevant to them. But at the same time, we as teachers know that we are giving them a task that is encouraging them to practice their speaking. So this could be another option that we can use. And these reels, if you have maybe an Instagram page for the department or for your subject, maybe some selected reels can be posted there, and that would be like an incentive for the students. That something is being posted, something that they have done is being posted on an official page. So some such incentive can be given to the students. Another thing could be that all these things that are recorded and shared with the teacher, there must be some sessions where these are played in the classroom. So maybe an audiovisual recording can be taken up by a student or a group of students. It should be played in the classroom. And when it is played in the classroom, Teacher should encourage the peers to give their feedback. What do they think of that recording? What do they think about what is spoken and how it is spoken? The teacher also can add feedback. And the purpose of this is to understand what is effective speaking. How should we speak? How should we not speak? What kind of language to use in a given situation? What kind of language to use for a specific purpose? So, when you are reporting something, your language will be different. When you are speaking formally to a senior, your language will be different. So, what kind of language you use, what kind of language construction you use, so all this is being practiced, but this must be discussed in the classroom so that these recordings are not just practice, but they also lead to improvement in further speaking. But then also let me caution you, when this exercise is being done, playing a recording in the classroom, we should go about it in a very cautious way. It should not be that the students feel discouraged or hurt by the feedback that is given to them. It should be done in a very comfortable, friendly environment. And maybe when we ask the peers to comment or give feedback on the recording that they hear, we can have some rules, some classroom rules. You can have a set of rubrics on the basis of which students will give their feedback. You can have some do's and don'ts while students are being asked to give their feedback. Comments should be on speaking, not on individuals, not on an individual student, but on the what was spoken and how it was spoken. So I believe all of us know our classrooms well, we know our students well, and I think all of us can really come up with what will work best in our classrooms, what kind of instructions to give. But we have to ensure that this happens in a very comfortable, a very friendly atmosphere, because our purpose here is to motivate the students and help them overcome wherever they are lacking. The purpose is not to criticize any of the students. So I believe these are some things that can be used for enhancing speaking in the English classroom. The next that we come to is reading skills. Now, reading is a receptive skill again, because whatever we hear, whatever we read, again, we are only absorbing, we are only receiving it, and we are not producing anything. So, reading is a receptive skill. To encourage reading, it has to be done again through a kind of comprehension. Reading comprehension can be used to assess the level of understanding of various students. This can be done, um, you know, uh, to use digital technologies. Students may be asked to access online libraries. They can select a book of their choice, or maybe a library can be created within the college or the school, an online library, and based on the preferences of the students, such a collection can be made. But the point is that the students may be asked to read books online using these online libraries, and then again they can give reviews on what they read. So this review could be again an oral review, or it can be written review. So that will give us an insight into the level of understanding of the students. And this will also help students through discussion to improve their comprehension while reading. This can be done in two ways. Students can be asked to read different books and then come to the class and give an individual review of the book. Students can be asked to read the same book, and then a class discussion can happen on the students' interpretation and understanding of that specific. So when you do it as a group activity, when all students read the same book and come back to the classroom for a discussion, we will come across various interpretations and various levels of understanding. So again, that is an indication of comprehension that is achieved through reading. And it also encourages and motivates the students to read more. So if a friend's interpretation is different, they might want to go back to the book and read it again to see what they have missed there, right? So this can be done in a fun way using online libraries. Also, students can be asked to read blogs. Now, blogs again are an online feature. They can read blogs online, and they can also, after reading it, maybe this again can be taken up as a classroom discussion, and they may be asked to write comments after that discussion. So these are some of the skills that are relevant to reading. The next I go on to is writing skills. Now, writing is a productive skill and again a very important skill because we need to write very often um, throughout the day and throughout the course of our education. Now, Grammarly is a very popular tool. Now, this can help you in checking spelling and grammar. Uh, it can also help you with sentence construction. It can point out where the usage is inappropriate. So Grammarly can be used. Now, also it can help you. There are digital tools which can help you identify plagiarism. So spelling, grammar, and plagiarism, these are three things that can be very conveniently looked into through multiple digital tools that are available. What I want to focus on here today are Google Docs. Now, Google Docs, you might be familiar with them already and you might have used them also. Why I think Google Docs is a very useful digital tool is because, first of all, it is very easily available. Almost everyone has access to it. Anyone with a Google account has access to Google Docs. What we may not know is that Google Docs can be used for collaborative activities. So while using a Google Doc, an individual student can write, but a Google Doc may also be used for team projects and collaborative activities. So if you have given the students a task which is to be done as a team, suppose they have to write an essay. It's a group of 4 students who are writing an essay and they wish to divide the task amongst themselves. One student decides to write the introduction, another one thinks of writing the conclusion, and 2 others think of writing the main body of the essay. All 4 of them can work on the same doc at the same time, right? Um, Maybe I can just show you this once. So when you go to a Google Drive, you click on New and you look at a Google Doc. There is here an option of sharing. As of now, this is only private to me, but I can go to share and I can, okay, just a minute. So I can go to this option of sharing and here I can add the email IDs of people with whom I want to share this. So I have added a name here. And then I have the flexibility of using these options. Whether the person with whom I'm sharing it will be an editor, a commentator, or a viewer. Now, when students are asked to do a collaborative activity where they need to work together, they should use the editor option. In an editor option, everyone with whom the doc has been shared will be able to write and make changes in that doc. So here, multiple people can write at the same time. And there is also an option of looking at the different versions of the document. So suppose I type something here. I hope it is clear. Let us say I type here digital tools for language learning. And I leave it here. In the meantime, I close the doc and I go back. And then when I come back, one of the co-editors has added something here, maybe a list of tools here. Let us say they have added a tool called Kahoot. And then when I go back, I delete this and then I add something else here. Now, when I click on this, it shows me multiple versions of the same text. This is the original at 647. This was the original. Then we have another version, which is the latest version. And who has made the change also is clearly visible here. So it gives you a version history where all the versions are listed. You can see who has made what change at what point of time. So students can work together on this. This is also again useful for the teacher in giving feedback. This has the options of giving comments and suggestions. Suppose I want to give a comment here. I select this, it gives me this plus sign here whereby I can add a comment. So while I am looking at the work of my students, I can give them relevant suggestions and I can also give them um, suggestions and feedback at the same time. So I can give this as a comment here. So when the students take a look, they know that there is something that they need to work on or something that has been given to them as a suggestion. So they can also take that into account. So this is something that again is interactive because the teacher can also keep giving the feedback while the students are working on the project. It allows multiple users to use the same document. And this is something that will encourage teamwork and collaboration among your students also. So you can think of giving them some kind of writing assignments which require them to work with each other. So by doing this, again, you're encouraging their skill in writing. At the same time, you are encouraging their ability to work in a team, their ability to collaborate. And this is also, another thing that it takes into account is peer teaching and learning. So when the students themselves make suggestions to one another, when they themselves correct each other, so that is also taking into account peer feedback, peer teaching, peer learning. You can, you are taking into account both advanced and slow learners. A group which has both advanced and slow learners will benefit from this kind of a collaborative activity. So ultimately, it is going to serve multiple purposes for you. The students practice writing, the students improve their skills in writing, the students learn from one another. It takes care of both advanced and slow learners. It also takes care of feedback and teaching or learning from the peers themselves. So this is a tool again that you should consider using in your classrooms and using for the purpose of uh, giving practice to your students in writing. Again, something that is in vogue these days is ChatGPT. Now, while I will not go into details about ChatGPT here, I think almost all our students must have tried it by now. And from what I hear from my students, it responds to every kind of question. There are students who have posted multiple choice questions here and got answers for that. This I'm not talking just about English, I'm talking about various other subjects. So I've heard from commerce students that they put in multiple choice questions based on commerce and they got answers to their questions. Students are also using it for getting, um, for points for writing their answers. So they're using it for multiple things. And while ChatGPT is very useful in getting information, we need to guide our students a little bit in how to effectively use this chat GPT. See, the problem with digital tools is that we cannot stop students from using any of them. Any kind of digital technology that is available, students will use and experiment. We may tell them not to uh, read all kinds of information, but they will still read. We may tell them to look at only authentic websites on the net, but they will still go to all the websites that are available. So We have to train them into identifying what are the websites which may be authentic and may give authentic information as far as teaching or learning of English is concerned. That I know I have digressed a bit here. You can tell them that some of the good websites that they can browse are maybe the British Council websites, the Cambridge website, and these websites also have resources for teachers. So we as teachers can also benefit by looking at these websites and following them. They also post a lot of information at times. They post articles, they post surveys, etc., which may be relevant to the English teachers. So we as teachers also can access them. And British Council again offers professional development courses also for language teachers. So we can make use of these websites. Students also can register for short-term courses here. So we have to tell them some of the authentic websites that they should refer to when they are searching for online information. Similarly, when we ask students to look at online dictionaries or look for meanings of certain words or phrases or idioms, again we need to tell them which are the sites that they can rely upon. So when they are searching for a meaning of a word, maybe in Oxford or Cambridge or Merriam-Webster or Collins, these are some of the authentic dictionaries that are available and which will give all relevant meanings of the word along with the usage.
No.
So we as teachers have to help our learners to identify and filter information which is available on the net. Now, coming back to ChatGPT, while ChatGPT may give the students all relevant information regarding a specific topic or their point of query, we still need to tell them to use that information in a logical, sequential, and coherent form. So if they are using ChatGPT for writing their answers, maybe full length long answers, then again, while they may take information from ChatGPT, they need to understand that their answers need to have an introduction, they need to give all supporting arguments. There should be some kind of a concluding sentence, what point to mention where, how to give examples for each thing that they are mentioning there. That is something which they themselves need to do. So while they may use ChatGPT for getting information, they still need to practice their writing to put all that in an understandable and coherent form. Okay, so these are again some of the digital tools and digital activities that can be used for writing skills. Now, here are some of the things that I have just mentioned without actually giving any explanation about any of them. Kahoot and quizzes are tools which can be used for assessing the knowledge of the students. You can make, Kahoot is again, it can be a competitive, it can give a sense of competition among the students because it also shows how much time each student has taken to give an answer, who was the first one to answer, and things like that. So Kahoot can be used for framing quizzes on a given topic. Quizzes again is a tool which can be used for making quizzes on different topics that you are teaching. You can use them. YouTube videos again can be used very effectively. Uh, Now again, I'm referring to the syllabus of Osmania University. Osmania University syllabus, for example, there is an excerpt from the play Macbeth. So when we are talking about that is only an excerpt. So if you have the time, you can probably screen the play for them in the classroom in the college or school, or you can at least share the link with them of the online version of that play, so they can, whenever they are free, they can watch it, and they will have a proper understanding of what happened before and what happens after the excerpt that they read in the class. Again, YouTube videos can also be used for speeches. Sometimes our English textbook has excerpts of speeches that were given by notable people. Now, these are only excerpts, but again, if we are able to provide links to our students, Now, these links again can be posted in the Google Classroom. These can be posted on through Google through WhatsApp chat. We can share these, or we can, if we have the time and the resources, we can even play it for them in the classroom. So these can be again ways of engaging the students, and also giving them a very holistic kind of idea about what they are studying in the classroom. And again, for example, when we talk about Shakespeare, it can also give them an idea about what was the kind of English that was used at that time and how English has changed over a period of time. So, what they read in their English textbook is not the same English that was used originally by Shakespeare. So, these features can be highlighted while using these kind of tools. Then again, also a lot of YouTube videos are available on various aspects of English grammar and other topics that we regularly teach in our classrooms. But before you use any of them in your classroom, please go through them and see that the content that is there in the video is correct and it is suitable for your learners. So these can be used. PowerPoint presentations. Teachers can use PowerPoint presentations for clearly explaining the topics that they are dealing with. Students also can be asked to make PowerPoints and give presentations in the classroom. Now, this will um, involve creative ability where they use a PPT slide and try to uh, put in the information that they want to convey to the audience, and they will learn a very lot of things about how to use information on a slide, how to space things, colors, backgrounds, all these things, how many words to put on a single slide, how not to make the slides too crowded, etc. At the same time, this is also going to be a practice in presentation skills. So this can be used for teaching them formal presentations using formal language while making the formal official presentation. How to, uh, how body language is again a very important part of oral presentations. So all these things can be brought in when students are asked to make presentations in the class. One thing that I forgot about YouTube videos, you can also use them to talk about job interviews. So you can use some good videos which are available on YouTube of job interviews, how interviews are conducted, how questions are asked, how the candidates need to give answers. All that can be, explained using a video. Again, also how meetings are conducted. These are some of the things that can be, explained well through YouTube videos. The second last point that I come to here is about lab software. Now, institutions which have language labs are definitely at an advantage here, I would say, because the lab software may integrate all the four skills. So, listening, reading, writing, and speaking may all be integrated together in lab softwares. So, you can look for lab softwares which can be installed in your own school or college. You can look for software where there are graded levels. Okay, now in my own college, we are using a software for English. We have a computer lab where we take the students once a week, not every day. Once a week, we take them to the lab, and we do have a licensed software. Now, this software offers us four levels of learning. So the first one is a basic level, and it increases in terms of difficulty. And at each level, there are 8 themes which are provided in the software itself. So these themes, range from English language to travel to media and to other different forms, to the wild, to other various other things. So 8 themes are given there, and there are 4 levels at which the students can work. And again, each level has multiple activities. There is a listening comprehension. There are exercises on grammar and vocabulary. There is even a dictation section where the system says something, the system then audio plays an audio, and the students are asked to type whatever they hear. Now, the software is such that it will not allow the students to continue even if they make an error in use of punctuation or use of capitalization. So these are like self-learning modules. Students can work at their own pace, and the system guides them. And of course, whether they are unable to find out where they are going wrong, we are of course there to help them out. But the point is that these lab softwares are able to integrate all the four skills, and we can give them a very comprehensive and interactive platform for practicing their language skills. One last point on my PPT is e-portfolios. Now, e-portfolios are electronic portfolios. A portfolio, as we understand, is a collection of something. Now, e-portfolio is an electronic portfolio, and this again is a collection of various items. It is called an e-portfolio because it is used on a digital platform. One very simple way of using the e-portfolio is in a Google Drive. So suppose you have a class of 30 students. You use your Google Drive and you make 30 folders there, one for each student. And you share that folder with the individual student. Now, this folder, only you and the student has access to this folder. This is an electronic folder, and we are going to use it as a portfolio. Now, this can be used both for speaking and writing. Now, students will collect samples of their speaking and samples of their writing. Depends on whatever purpose you're using it for. So, suppose you're using it for the purpose of speaking skills. In that case, you will ask the students to record themselves, and that recording they will save in this folder. So over a period of time, let us say over a period of 3 months, the students will record themselves speaking at various points in time, and they will record it there. If you are using it for the purpose of writing skills, then the students will save samples of their writing. Maybe the first creative writing they did during the class, another creative writing maybe 1 month after the session started, another piece of writing after 2 months from when the session started. So samples of their writing or samples of their speaking, they will save here in this folder. When they save it, we as teachers need to give them a set of rubrics using which they are able to assess themselves. Now, rubrics will indicate at what level they are. Are they able to complete the task? Like suppose, for example, if we talk about speaking skills. So you need to tell them how to assess themselves. One basic criteria could be, were they able to complete the task that was assigned to them? So if you have asked them to speak for 1 minute, were they able to speak for 1 minute? That is one criteria. Were they able to say everything relevant to the given topic? That could be another criteria. Were they able to express themselves in a coherent way? That could be another criteria. Were they able to, um, were they able to organize their content in a coherent and understandable manner? That could be another criteria. So we give the students a set of rubrics whereby they assess themselves, and they are able to see the progress in their own speaking from day one till maybe the end of those 3 months. Same would be the case for writing. So they start assessing themselves from day one and looking at different samples of their writing and assessing them. They can see how much progress they have made from the beginning of the session till the end of that 3 month period. Now, the advantage of doing this is that the students are able to track their own progress. So that will provide a kind of motivation to the students when they see that they are progressing. They are making some progress in their skill in speaking or writing. That provides motivation. Also, when they assess themselves, they are able to understand what are their strengths, what are they good at when they write. Are they good in the use of vocabulary? Are they good in logical construction of sentences? What is their weakness? Are they poor in sentence structure? Are they poor in vocabulary? So they are able to identify their own strengths and weaknesses. And by doing that, they know what are the areas which they need to improve. What are the areas where they need to work more, right? So using these portfolios first and foremost allows the students to assess their strengths and weaknesses, helps them to overcome those weaknesses by working more consciously on those weaknesses, and finally it allows them to actually tangibly see the progress that they have made. So that will be a kind of motivation to our students to to know that they are not still at square one. They have made progress, and that will give them confidence in using those skills again. So these can be implemented in the language classroom. Um, so these are some of the things that I have suggested. And with this, I come to an end of my presentation here. Thank you all very much for listening patiently. And if you have any questions now, I would be happy to address them. Nirupama ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
over to you,
Yes.
ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, Roshan ma'am and I would be more than happy to coordinate with ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, good evening. I'm Dr. K. Lakshmi. Ma'am, I have some doubts. Okay, what ma'am suggested, all the ways, in all the ways I implemented in all the ways. Ma'am, am I audible? Am I audible?
Ma'am, you're audible. Yes, you're audible, but I think somebody else also is.
Ma'am, somebody has to mute their mic, ma'am.
Yeah, kindly mute your. There's a kind of a disturbance. Yeah, I request some of the participants who have not muted, please. Still, I can hear that. Please check your sound system. It's taken care of, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sorry for the interruption. You may please go ahead, ma'am. Lakshmi, ma'am. Lakshmi, ma'am. All right. Does anybody, ma'am, Roshan, ma'am, I think we can continue with the others. Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am has justly pointed out how digital tools assist all of us in transforming ourselves from teacher-centric classrooms to student-centric classrooms. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a great work of knowledge that you have shared with us. It would be a great pleasure to us to listen to you again in our future events. Now the virtual platform, as it has mentioned, is open for question and answer session. If anyone has any queries regarding, I would ask them to raise their hands or state their question by unmuting. The session, the platform is open. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can I ask? Ma'am? Can I proceed with my question?
Yes,
Yeah, ma'am, you have suggested all the ways, no, ma'am. But, ma'am, my question is, how far, madam, it is acceptable and agreeable in the classrooms, ma'am, especially in limited point of time, 45 minutes time or 50 minutes time. Ma'am, we have to conclude the theory portion and lab portion. Ma'am, can you suggest any ways, any strategy to implement at least some of your strategies in my classroom? Whatever you have suggested, ma'am, I'm very, very honorable to ask you, ma'am. Please suggest your ways, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, which classes do you teach, ma'am?
Ma'am, I BTech, ma'am. BTech all the 3 years.
Okay.
I handled all the 3 years, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which specific strategy of mine are you talking about, ma'am? See, when
Yeah.
we talk about Google Forms, you don't have to ask the students to fill them in the classroom. They can do that later also. So that will not take away time from your class. If you are looking at listening skills or speaking skills, I'm sure
Okay.
you keep aside some time for doing them in your classroom. So one passage maybe can be done in the class when you're talking about listening, for example. Maybe as a sample, one audio can be played in the class and students can be asked to, give their answers there and then in the classroom. Others can be posted on WhatsApp chat, or they can be given through Google Classroom, etc. And students can practice it outside class hours. Again, if it is for speaking, I also recommended students record their speaking. So they record it and they share it with you. So again, it will not take away your class time. E-portfolios, again, when they are maintaining e-portfolios, you don't have to be available all the time. They will use the e-portfolio. They will save samples of their writing or speaking there. Whenever you are free, you take a look at it. So you and the students don't have
Yes,
to be
ma'am.
available at the same time.
Ma'am, okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you have given right now. Just, ma'am, apart from there, this writing, record writing, and this, and some subjects, no, very new to them. So, ma'am, that is what I am asking. Not about online applications. Just to see, just for giving a passage. Okay, I read one passage, or I'll read a passage. So to implement that product in the classroom, it takes time, no, ma'am. That is what I meant for. What I meant for. Okay, ma'am. Digital applications, this platform, this digital platform. Okay, ma'am. I'll follow your suggestions. But, ma'am, regarding the session, what I have asked, no. First, we have to show, no, ma'am. Regarding passages, reading, or audio books, or whatever it is. Regarding that, ma'am, can you tell me anyways? That is what I meant for.
Ma'am, I have focused only on digital tools because the FDP is about digital tools. And that is the only reason I have
Okay.
focused only on them. Now, reading, of course, if it is a problem for students to access online libraries, I'm sure they can get hard copies of the books and they can read them. They can bring them to the class, maybe read one chapter each, and you discuss that in the classroom. Right. And it need not be an entire book, ma'am. It depends on the teacher, our own creativity. Maybe you can ask the students to look for any online book. This can be an online library. This can be, this can be on any e-platform. They can get a book and ask them to maybe read the first chapter only of that book, not the whole book also. Maybe let them
Okay.
read only the introductory, the first chapter, and they come back and you ask them who were the characters mentioned, what was the setting mentioned there. So it is going to create a kind of dialogue and discussion in your classroom, right? So
Okay.
it need not be always for the purpose of asking them to give a review. We can have a kind of a question answer session where they tell us what they have read. Ultimately, the point is to help them practice their skills.
Okay,
So they
ma'am.
are reading and also speaking about those things.
Okay,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
I
Ma'am.
hope I have been able to answer your question.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you very much for your valuable suggestions, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Welcome, ma'am.
Um, Dr. Madhuri,
Yes, ma'am.
this is Dr. Chandana here. I wanted to know if you can give us the names of some software, language lab softwares.
Ma'am, the one that we are using in my college is called Issues in English 2. Maybe I can
Okay.
put it in the chat
Okay.
box.
Can
This
you?
can be for
Yeah.
everyone.
Please do that, ma'am. Yeah.
I posted it, ma'am. This is called Issues in English 2.
Okay.
So this is the one that we are using, and we have found it to be quite useful for our
Good.
students.
Yeah. By your description, I was thinking just that. So I just wanted the name of any other software, ma'am.
I'm not really aware of any other at the moment, but I think if you search on the net, you might be able to find these. And
Okay.
again, also they will definitely mention some contact details. So you can write
Yes.
to them, because what is relevant for your students, again, you will need to look at that. So when
Yes.
we adopted this, we had asked them to come to our college and give us a presentation on that.
Okay.
And only
Okay.
based on that, we selected this and adopted it for ourselves.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chandana ma'am. We have one more query by Chiranjeevi. Sir, you can go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, thank you so much for giving the lecture on the digital tools. And actually, I don't have any query, ma'am. This side, this is Chiranjeevi from Vagdevi Degree and PG College, Hanmakonda, ma'am. I'm very glad to hear your lecture on the digital tools, ma'am. Actually, I'm very new to this profession, teaching profession, and I'm very glad to listen, ma'am. This is all I want to say you, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you
much
very
for
much.
inspiring me, ma'am. I'm so much inspired by listening your lecture, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very
So
much for that feedback.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chiranjeevi, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Ramajyoti from
Good evening.
Srimadavi Degree College, Habsiguda, Hyderabad. Ma'am, it's very glad to meet you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your valuable suggestions. I have a small question that my students can able to speak freely in the to me in the class, but they are so much hesitation to speak on the dais. Can you suggest me any suggestions to develop their speaking skills?
Ma'am, if they are able to speak to you freely, it means that they do have the language skills with them. The problem here, I think, is facing an audience. So I think you will need to help them overcome that fear of facing the audience. First and foremost, you can give them some tips. They can individually, they can record themselves, hear themselves speak, because that will give them confidence that they speak well or they are able to speak about the topic given to them. Then they could also practice, they could record themselves, the audio. They can also record a video of themselves where they can also, see how they look when they are speaking on something. And these will help them in boosting their own self-image about speaking. And then you can give them opportunities in your classroom where they can maybe address the students in the class. So by doing that, where they need to be told that the classroom is a space where they learn, it is not a space where they are being judged. And
Yes.
that has to be, really imprinted into their minds that this is a safe place, and this is a place where they learn, they experiment, they make errors, and they learn to overcome those errors. So if you're able to give them that kind of a confidence, I'm sure they will be able to face an audience, and they will be able to speak well to an audience as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am,
Definitely we will do in my classroom. Thank you so much, ma'am.
ma'am,
Welcome.
one more thing, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good
Am I
evening.
audible to you?
Yes.
Madhuri, ma'am, good evening. This is Krishna Bahadur from Avinash College. Whatever suggestion that you have just given to Ramajyoti, madam, I would like to add a small a point to it, whatever you have said. What I found is that whenever the students, right, when we as Ramajyoti madam was telling, that my students can speak so confidently, but they are not able to speak in the dais or in a public places. For that, I have a small past experience where my students were not able to speak confidently in the dais when it came to presenting a paper. Or there, what I made them was I just gave them a PowerPoint presentation, making them select their topic, whatever they wanted to choose. The choice of their, the topic was of their choices. And then they made a presentation, and they were, when they slowly, one or two those things, the presentation when they made, they were perfect, and they were able to present and then speak confidently. What I found, that was my personal experience in teaching. What I found was, like, give them a assignment as PPT, PowerPoint presentation, where the students will have to make their own presentation. And when they come and present in the dais, they will be a little bit more confident what they are speaking. I felt that, and because I have experienced that in the past, and I found some of my students doing very well.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience. I'm sure that will benefit many of us here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Krishna, sir.
Right.
I hope all your queries have been addressed well by our distinguished guests. And thank you, Krishna Bahadur sir, for adding extra information pertaining to digital tools or the hesitation faced by the students. Thank you so much, ma'am, Madhuri Mathur, ma'am, Dr. Madhuri Mathur. Your voice and knowledge of this field are immense. It really shows a way ahead towards the future. It will be a great honor to have you in our future events as well. May I request Mrs. Archana Ma'am, an associate professor, to summarize the key inputs of our honorable speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Roshan ma'am. Good evening, one and all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now it's time to have a summarization of Dr. Madhuri Mathur's ma'am session. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with detail of digital learning. Firstly, ma'am very clearly explained the meaning of digital, that is anything characterized by computerized technology. Ma'am also explained blended learning, that is digital and offline, including teaching, learning, and evaluation, would enhance skills in communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. Explaining the choice of digital tools used in our classrooms, ma'am explained how the 4 criteria are to be considered: purpose, need of students, competence of teacher in using technology, and practicality. Dr. Madhuri ma'am went on to explain how digital trends are used to develop LSRW skills. Listening skills can be developed by using audio passages, which help the students to develop their accent and pronunciation. Exercise for comprehension improves the understanding skills. Speaking skills can be developed by assigning tasks and submission of recordings. Reading skills, the students can be encouraged to read books from online libraries, blogs, etc. And writing skills is a productive skill. This can be developed by using tools like Grammarly. Collaborative activities, team projects would help students to develop their writing skills. Ma'am advised the gathering to train our students to use authentic tools and sites for learning. And finally, ma'am also explained the use of lab softwares and e-portfolio in detail. Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening all of us. Over to you, Roshan, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thanks a
ma'am. If
lot,
I
ma'am.
can just take 1 minute here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please,
I
ma'am.
would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And it has been a wonderful session, a wonderful audience, and a very good opportunity for me to interact with fellow teachers here. And these are my contact details. If any of you would like to contact me for a discussion or a query, I would be very happy to interact with you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very much.
much.
For
Thank you
sharing
so
that.
much, Madhuri ma'am.
Thanks
Thank
a lot, ma'am, for summarizing the valuable insights. All the participants have exuberantly taken part in the FDP Day 2 session. The feedback form is posted in your WhatsApp group. I request to fill it before you log out the Zoom session. With this note, we come to the end of today's session. Hope we learned and renewed our thoughts. I thank one and all for actively participating in the online FDP session. Tomorrow, we'll be eagerly waiting for the proliferous FDP session by the distinguished guest, Dr. Sumita Roy, who is the retired head of Department of English, Director, English Language Training Center, Usmania University. She's also a public speaker. So, hope you people will be on time to use the benefits of these FDP session. Hope you all have a great learning today and will do so tomorrow. Stay safe. Goodbye. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Madhuri ma'am. Thank you for gracing our
Thank
event.
you, ma'am.
On
Thank you
behalf
very
of the
much.
entire English team, English department here, thank you so much, ma'am.
It was
Thank you, ma'am.
a
Thank you
productive
all.
session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you.
See you all tomorrow. Please take care.